Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Young Buck for a little interview before the game of the day. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you feeling coming into this match?
I'm feeling quite confident. I think we're looking for our first 2-0 week this week. Our schedule is a little bit easier than the past week, so yeah, it's 2-0, all or nothing.
Yeah, I have a question about your background. You were with the G2 for many years and now with Fnatic. Do you feel some pressure coming this year? You know, with the success you had with G2 and the Fnatic powerhouse?
Of course, I want to be the first person who wins 5 splits in a row, and I think that last year G2 set the golden standard for macro in Europe. So I do feel there's some pressure for me to actually teach Fnatic this kind of macro right now and be the golden standard for Europe this year.
And what from last year can you bring into Fnatic, like in training, the way you talk to players maybe?
Well, I felt like Fnatic last year was very creative as a team and had very talented individuals, but their basic macro was very lacking. And that's something that G2 was very strong at, and we built a very solid macro concepts last year. So that's the kind of system that I'm looking to bring into Fnatic this year.
And last question is about Caps, because he seemed to have grown up really much since last year. And he's way more confident into the game, and that makes him play really better. How can you explain that?
He's just getting better at understanding the games, and he's also a kind of player who's quite emotional, but in a very positive sense. Like, he's a very positive person, so we also want to feed into that. And especially before the games, we make sure he's in a very good mood and happy and laughing. So, because when he's in that kind of mood, there's no mid laner that can stop him.
Do you think there's room for him to grow even more and become better?
Absolutely. I mean, he hasn't killed Faker yet, so there's always room to grow, right?
Yeah, we'll see about that. And thanks to you for joining me today. Back to you guys at the desk.
I like that. You haven't finished growing until you've killed Faker. Perks can't go up anymore. Bevivin can't go up anymore. Once you kill Faker, it's over. Your career is just, you're done so.
Or soon it will be, if you can kill Jizuke, that will be the pinnacle of...
the European Faker, is, as we now like to call him. All right, well, in our next game, Young Buck and Fnatic are going up against Unicorns of Love. And for Fnatic, we've already talked about him. Let's talk about him a little bit more. It is Caps in the mid lane. Now, we talk about this guy carrying, but my question to you both is he getting everything he needs to actually do that?
I think he's not getting everything he needs, but he's close to getting everything he needs. He is getting the leads that he needs himself, which is surprising for me, but he needs someone to be there for him when he makes those aggressive plays to help him not slip.
Yeah, because to me it feels like that right now, Fnatic are a little disjointed, where they kind of say they want to change up their playstyle, they want to be more of a team rather than rely on Reckless, but that kind of puts this pressure on Caps to be one of the big playmakers, yet the team don't seem to be coordinating around Caps, trying to coordinate and enable him to be this big playmaker, which is putting a lot of strain on him, and sometimes he's struggling to catch up.
Yeah, and it looks really difficult. I think we have a lot of young players kind of dealing with this pressure this season.
And for me, I've seen it even with veteran players, but mainly with the young players, when they are focused on the team. For Caps, he knows he's the main playmaker of the team, and he feels like he has to constantly keep making those plays to win. And that's not the idle mindset you have to have. You have to choose those plays you want to make. You can't force yourself to make plays all the time.
And you can just see from some of the stats, he is doing work. He's like first for damage percentage. He does a lot of work with the gold that he gets for himself, but his KDA is pretty low. Yeah. His kill participation is relatively low, and it's just because he's trying so hard, and sometimes he ends up getting punished for it.
And here's the thing, he's getting 3% less gold than Reckless, and is doing 10% more of the team's damage, and still we see Fnatic putting so many resources into Reckless. Is this the right choice? Is it the right choice to actually put so much into him?
I think it is. I believe that the AD carry is the main carry for this meta, and you need to funnel resources into your AD carry. But if you put all the resources into your AD carry and then you just leave him side lane, you can't pressure, you can't do anything with it. And that's what we can see from Reckless. We have to see more grouping and using this gold that he gets from his team.
But what we saw was that last week, they were more able to do that, right? When Caps was on the Aurelion Soul and he was able to roam around the map a little bit more and invest more towards the rest of his team, Fnatic started grouping up more. They started working as a unit, and we just saw a lot more cohesion and more of the Summer Split Fnatic that went 11-2 during the regular season. They facilitated the Summer Split MVP and set him up for success. And I think that for Fnatic, if they continue to play this style, it will net them early wins. But the question is, will it really benefit them in the long run? It suits them right now in the current meta, but if you have to rely on Caps in the future, will they still have that same level of teamwork, and can they continue to kind of grow in that aspect?
Well, if they will find the synergy they found before in the versus Rocket, and Reckless can be the person for Caps when Caps makes those aggressive plays, that is the key for them to be the Kings again.
I want to see that follow-up. I want to see that consistency, but we have to now look at the opposite side. Someone who's also feeling the pressure in a similar vein to Caps is the mid laner for the Unicorns of Love, Exile. This guy has had a lot of rough games, 1 or 2 shining moments thus far this split, but is pretty much the center of attention anytime Unicorns of Love take to the stage.
And yeah, for me, Exile is exactly in the same pressure point as Caps. You know, everyone's looking down on him. He knows that, and he's trying so hard to prove everyone wrong, and that's making him play over-eager and over-aggressive. And then every single team knows that. They know that he's playing over-aggressively, and they're just focusing on punishing him.
And he's determined. You saw his knuckles just there, right? They were bruised. They were ready. He's been training. He's been fighting. He wants to make his way back up to the top. You know, he's working his way. And the risk is, how much is he going to continue to overcommit? Because while you identified, he certainly seems to be restraining himself a little bit more based on his performance from last week. And if we see that kind of consistency more from him, I think it'll do a lot of benefits for the Unicorns of Love.
And we heard from Cole that this is a guy who likes to play on the edge. He just has to find the right side of the edge, right? Is always the struggle between making that big flashy outplay, but also, you know, not dying, not giving up advantages for the team. And it does seem like a little bit of a struggle right now. We'll see how it improves. But I'm also curious about how this matchup is going to affect Samix. Going up against his old bot laner, Hill is saying Samix grew so much during their time together. What's that like, Freeze? I know you've had that experience yourself.
Oh yeah. It's going to be so exciting for me to watch and how they develop in the game. Because the last time I played versus my old teammate, Mefe, and never got punished so hard. Because the player that played with you for such a long time, he knows you. And he will know what you do in certain situations, and he knows how to punish it. And that's going to be, it might happen to Samix as well.
And for Samix, when he joined the Unicorns of Love originally, he had a poor performance. He joined in the league, eyes were on him, and he wasn't able to live up to the hype that Unicorns of Love had during the spring and summer of 2017. But he grew throughout the year. He became one of the best performing ADs in Summer Split, and he gave a lot of that credit to Hylissang, how he helped train him up, how he helped him learn to be more aggressive. And now the mentor is going to be going up against his student with a new AD carry. So for this matchup, we're going to be looking at the bottom lanes, we're going to be looking at the mid lanes, and we're going to be seeing which carries can come out on top.
I feel like every lane has an interesting story to talk about, but UOL picked with their first win of the split last week. Can they do it again tonight versus Fnatic? Let's head over to our casters and find out.
Thank you very much, Dracos, and good evening, everyone. I'm Aaron Medic Chamberlain, and joining me is Martin DeFischer. It's just an English thing, you know, we bow to the Queen, we bow when we're in the presence of a god, we drink a lot of tea, it's great. But let's have a closer look at the teams that are on stage. We have Fnatic starting off on the blue side, and the key member of Fnatic has to be Reckless in that bottom lane, starting to improve, starting to show a bit more strength.
I mean, he did have a very good last week. We want to see more of that. We want to see him be with the team so he can utilize his leads from early game in these big team fights. I also really want to look at the Unicorns of Love lineup because we already heard these guys talk about Exile in the mid lane. I am looking so much towards his performance because his Rise game last week was good. He got early help from Cold, he got ahead, he was 1v2ing in the side lane for the entire game.
His Zoe game was pretty good as well. He 1v1 Jizuke in lane in a pure solo matchup. So although later on in the game it wasn't as strong, his laning was looking a lot better.
I want to see more of that. I want to see Cold play around Exile in the early game, get him out of this laning phase so he can utilize his abilities in the side lanes later on because he is a very good split pusher and I want to see him go to that side lane with an advantage.
I'll have to wait and see as we get on into picks and bans whether Unicorns of Love are able to get those winning lanes and get Exile ahead. The Rise ban from Fnatic, no surprises there.
Also, we gotta consider things like Aurelion Sol when you play against Fnatic. We even actually brought some highlights from last week in case you guys weren't watching where Caps got to play that Aurelion Sol again. And the key thing about this champion is that it's so good at setting up the rest of Fnatic to do well in the games. And in a best of one, playing against a team who can use Aurelion Sol, it sucks. Because you don't want to just ban it in case they didn't actually want to play it. Normally you want to give it to them in a best of series and then ban it later. You can't do that in best of one. You always got to keep in mind Aurelion Sol is there.
And that's what having those power picks does for you in a best of one situation. It makes the opponent uneasy. They need to think about whether they want to ban that Aurelion Sol. Already we have the Braum and the Camille removed. Tahm, Kench and Tristana by the Unicorns.
I always love to see a Tahm Kench ban. Sheepy agrees with me. Want to get rid of that champion as often as possible. Now this ban is really smart. The main pick for Caps, it's been the Azir. And one of the big reasons is because it allows him to hold mid lane while Reckless split pushes. Azir is one of the few mages that can sit in a 1v2, even a 1v3 sometimes with the long range just kill the wave. That's now gone, and that's a typical first pick for Fnatic, so I like that ban a lot.
Does mean that Zoe's still open here, as is Kalista, someone who has a 0% win rate thus far in the EU LCS. Now, first pick for Fnatic is the Jarvan.
That's surprising. Sejuani is still open. You talked about the Zoe already, and still they went with Jarvan for Broxah, signaling to me they want some early ganks maybe from the jungle here. Zyra Khan is available, and some European teams still want to play.
Well, it's Fnatic that have been playing it a lot of the time as well. Zyra Khan picked up by Reckless and Hylissang a couple of times already. It's odd to see the Zyra so early on in the draft, though, with so many strong mid laners still available.
I mean, it just tells us that Unicorns are afraid that Fnatic will grab it in the next rotation. The one we have right now for Fnatic, if Unicorns did not grab it instantly. So once again, Jarvan first pick. A lot of priority on that pick for Broxah at the moment. He is the kind of jungler who wants to have some early ganks in the game, but still, there's a lot of power picks available, like that Zoe, like the Kalista. Not touched so far. Ooh, Alistar, good choice against Rakan.
Kalista, Alistar, such a strong combo as well, but it is going to be the Galio. Assume that will go to Caps in the mid lane. Can you pick Zoe into it, or you can just decide to pick the Corki?
I like this one. Just grab something that scales really well into the late game, where the Galio then is building full AP and these double-aided carry comps can kill him. But early on, Galio is a great response to Zyra Khan, because Zyra Khan can play all in. They can be a lane you can play around, but Galio can kind of prevent that with his ulti. So it's also a great pick for Caps, just because Fnatic, if they want to play to other lanes than mid, Caps can sit there with his ulti and just join on the sides. And with this new Galio, a lot of AP being built, you can also play around him early on and get him ahead.
It can still do a lot of damage from that mid lane.
Ooh,
Unicorns of Love.
Ban.
Yeah, trying to get rid of some more of these AD carries. Twitch and Tristana taken away from Reckless thus far. It's a gangplank removed by Fnatic. Now, Unicorns of Love are looking for a jungler and a top laner. Fnatic are looking for their AD carry in their top.
Yeah, there's still Sivir, which Reckless likes to pull out from time to time. Caitlyn also available in this draft, and of course that Kalista we mentioned earlier. Kalista Alistar is a great combination for team fighting. If Fnatic wants to play that, imagine an Alistar and a Jarvan jumping into the backline with a Galio ulti coming down on one of them. Like, that's absolutely insane for diving the backline. And remember guys, Xayah ulti does not allow it to get out of a Jarvan ult. She just jumps up in the air and falls right back down.
Those walls are a lot higher than they seem. Unable to jump across
Or she doesn't jump very high.
Oh, yeah, it's possible, but it looks like she jumps quite high. Just a little like a hopscotch just along the floor. But is a Zac and an Ornn removed here? Unicorns of Love maybe looking for a safe top laner. The Gnar is exactly that.
Camilla already banned away, which could have been one of the answers. Now there is still Jace available, but that would require Fnatic to play around the top side to really snowball the Jace. Typically, Source still looking towards tanks in these situations. The Ornn ban, though, taken away from him. Cho'Gath is there, but Gnar's typically a pick you want to have against a Cho'Gath. So I like the choice here from Unicorn's side. And there's that Sivir we talked about earlier.
There's that Sivir that Reckless has picked up. He's yet to win with it this split. And the Vladimir is another option here for Soaz in that top lane.
These 280 carries on the side of Unicorns of Love, they're going to need a lot of protection, because there is currently Galio, Vladimir, Alistar, Jarvan, who will all reach the Unicorn's backline, and they're buffed by a Sivir ulti. This Fnatic comp wants to run at Unicorns of Love so fast, and they will always reach at least one of the carries. Exile and Samux, they need perfect positioning in this game, or they just get destroyed.
Such a wombo coming out from Fnatic, and it is the Sejuani finally for Cold back on those tanks.
Last pick, man.
It's strange that they go so far through, and it's also strange that Kalista wasn't picked up from either of these teams.
They're scared, man. They don't feel like taking Kalista and having to play around or getting head early to mid-game is worth it. So they pick other things, like the Sivir in a comp that wants to dive the enemy backline does make a lot of sense for Reckless. Also the spell shield against Rakan can be very useful for him. Meanwhile, on Unicorn's side, double-aided carry, we've already seen this in this meta. When you go to late game with Corki, your team fighting gets very, very strong. And then there's a front line with the Sejuani and the Gnar. I don't think Unicorns have enough peel to protect their backline. And I'm actually kind of looking at what they can do to stay alive. And if they can then kill whoever's in the front line, Source, Caps, Hylissang, like all these champions, they're not going to go down that easy. Exile and Samux need to play perfect in this game.
Looking at two of the veteran members of this Unicorns of Love squad to actually step up a lot in this game. Good positioning. Good team fights from Exile and Samux could spell the difference, but Fnatic can roam early as well. They don't even need to let this get to the late game. You've got the Galio, you've got the Jarvan, you've got a team composition that can dive no end, and I hope to see some early action between these two teams. We are going to get onto the Summoner's Rift here, Deficio, and I'm excited. It's not often you get to cast Fnatic, it's not often you get to watch Hylissang face his former teammates.
Oh, all of Unicorns of Love will know exactly what kind of player Hylissang wants to be. He's on the Alistar, can play very aggressive in this game, be in that front line. Meanwhile, on the other side, with this Zyra Khan, I want to see if Unicorns are looking to play around the bottom side. It is difficult against, Alistar, Stopwatches, Spell Shield on Reckless.
It's important to note as well, Soaz has a big achievement here. For Fnatic, is the player who's played on their roster for the most amount of days of any player ever on Fnatic. Just over 1,380 days on that lineup. So congratulations, Soaz. Yeah, I think he deserves a round of applause. It's about 4 years or so. I think you deserve a round of applause after that amount of time.
Still remember when he joined back in Season 2 to play for Fnatic. Long time ago. Replacing Shushay up in the top lane back then. Obviously transitioned from mid after winning the World Championship in Season 1. Go Europe.
The one time we won the World Championship.
Hey, how many times did NA win?
Hey, that is a very good point. I think we should tweet that at NA tonight and just remind them.
All of NA.
Yeah, all of North America. NA. Write it in the sky with one of those sky planes.
And we're going to get about 50 tweets now saying the Season 1 World Championship didn't count, but that's only something a North American fan would say.
Exactly.
Everyone else knows that of course it counts.
Of course it does. Now, I want to come back to that bottom lane matchup that you were talking about, because Samux and Totoro haven't actually been able to dominate lane too much recently. They've struggled a lot. Brox is coming down here to try and help out Reckless and Hylissang as well.
This is why he wanted that first pick. Oh,
Totoro gets knocked back. Brox is on his way. He's just trying to dodge around. He manages to get away from Broxter. Can he flash away? The heal, Totoro. He's so low, but they will just about get the final auto.
We didn't get to say this because we were talking about Soaz and bragging about Season 1 World Championships, but the Rakan went with Ignite Exhaust level 1 to try and get an early advantage and make a play around the bottom side. So Broxer just took his red buff, walked straight down bot lane and said, well, you don't have a flash, so that was a pretty easy first blood.
And the thing is, if it's after level 2, you can get away. Let's have another look at this.
All right, so again, Exhaust and Ignite here. Hylissang will even knock him further back because this is the all-in. He picked these Summoner Spells 4. We do also get one of the worst EQ combos we've seen in a long time, but that doesn't matter because he's no flash. He was all baiting it.
Oh, Cold's going to try and get Caps in the mid lane as well, looking for that Icebreaker stun. We'll be able to connect. Actually, Caps flashes away right at the last moment.
We already talked about how we want to see Cold play around Exile in the start of the game, just to make sure Exile gets a good laning phase. Already saw that first gank pulled off. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Rakan is now swapped over to Flash.
It's on cooldown though, so he has to wait for it to come back.
But it is there, at least. Still, interesting strategy. Zyra Khan, Exhaust, Ignite for level 1, and then all in level 1 onto the enemy AD carry and see if you can win the first trade and force him out of lane.
It's very interesting, and Reckless with this lead will be even more dominant than he has been in lane thus far. You look at this, he's the second highest AD carry in terms of forward percentage. That means how far he's pushing up in the lane, and his creep score differential is huge.
And how dare the Unicorns of Love go for an all-in strategy against the player who's not even died at 15 minutes yet. Disrespecting Reckless.
If they'd looked at the stats before they went for it, maybe they would have changed their minds.
Stats is all that matters in League of Legends. Nothing else matters. Oh, well, having Flash kind of matters too, as we just learned.
But in terms of stats, he didn't have Flash.
It's true, so he technically didn't die with Flash. That's something to know.
Didn't pull a double lift.
So we're really jabbing in North America here, I like it. Unicorns a lot though, after the little misplay. I wouldn't have called it a misplay. It was a clear call. Broxer just punished it by going red buff bot lane for the first gank. We still look also at top lane because White Knight on this Gnar here will be able to kind of out-trade the Vladimir but not kill the Vladimir. So there is a chance for Unicorns of Love if they want to play around top side to at least get a bit of pressure. It's just really hard to kill Soaz. Stopwatch, pool. You can't really shut down Vlad hard enough as a Gnar, so it kind of becomes the scaling. And that's where Source in the late game, as we already talked about, with this comp from Fnatic, can just dive onto Exile or Samux and just take over team fights.
And that is the thing for Fnatic here. They want to team fight. Something that Reckless has struggled with in the last few weeks and across his tenure in Fnatic is actually being with the team a lot of the time. He tends to go for more of a split push style on his AD carries. This game, we need to see him grouping up. We need to see him working with the team.
Yeah, you pick Sivir to team fight and stay with your team. So I expect him to push his lane and go with the rest of the group. Exile does get a fine trade. Cold once again is around that mid lane, and Hylissang, he's angry.
Oh. Totoro tries to jump away, will get stunned up. The root comes out as well from Samux, but not going to be too much more action there. And that early gank has given Reckless a 10 CS lead already in this bottom lane. It's about 500 gold ahead for Fnatic here as well, at only the 5-minute mark.
So far, if we look at their Samux versus Hylissang battle, former duo down the bot lane, we got to give the advantage to Hylissang. He might even interrupt.
He ignited him! Oh, that is ultimate BM.
He's just showing off right now.
That's why it's good that Unsealed Spellbook's getting nerfed, because it's taken an extra 10% of time on 8.3 for him to get that Ignite back.
Stops the recall though from Samux. Their Zaya's out of mana. They're trying again. Hylissang this time did allow them to actually go back to base, but interesting start. Proxa will end up just jumping away from Cold and Exile. I feel like with the bot lane though, it's like a couple that broke up, then each found like a new boyfriend, new girlfriend, and at the moment Hylissang is definitely showing off his new boyfriend, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, look at me. He's got the Hugo Boss suit, he's got the good job, he's got the six-pack.
Swedish pretty boy, he's like, come on, look at this guy.
I thought the Danish man would be the better one to show off.
There's no Danes in the bot lane.
Guess that makes sense. I want to come back to this mid lane as well, though, because we said Exile on this Corki needs to get ahead, has been struggling a little bit recently in terms of his pure laning phase, but last week was a sign towards the better, and this game is ahead as well. Boxer is going to get caught out slightly here. Hylissang as well has roamed up towards the top side of the map alongside Toro, but it looks like it should be fine.
But I like the pace of the game here. Already lane swap, already few moves around the mid lane from Cold. As you guys can see on your screen here with Exile, week 2 was very rough for him. Down 15 CS early on in the laning phase, died a bunch, but week 3 was a big improvement. He got early kills in the laning phase. He took over that laning phase as well and started becoming a strong split pusher.
What is that animation on the Gnar TP, by the way? Just like dancing a little bit, wagging his tail. Comes up, he's just a very happy boy to be up here. He's a good boy. We've seen the first backs come out here. BF sword completed for Samux. It's Zerka Greaves and double longsword for Reckless here.
Let's see who can actually push hardest, because the early lane swap from Unicorn Love against the Vladimir does make a lot of sense. Vlad can only kill the wave if he's standing in the wave itself. And that won't happen against 2 members early game. So they do try and apply some pressure against SOAS. But now we can see how Reckless is on the way to the top side. Will just be the 2v2 up there, unless Unicorn swap again to bot lane, and they constantly like dodge around to try and catch SOAS.
It's what we used to see a lot more as well, that sort of, you go top, we'll switch up towards the top side, then the AD carry support goes bot lane as well.
It was actually the very old school, back like Season 3 when lane swaps kind of started in Europe. You would always push your lane, then you would smack it into the turret, you could then recall, and if the enemy dual lane tried to go down and catch it, you were already a step ahead going to the other lane. And you could just keep kind of swapping and swapping and swapping, and therefore get experience and CS advantage. But this time around, you'll return to top side, and then Hylissang recalls. He can swap to TP though on this Alistar. Oh, he cancels it. He's hiding. Reckless hiding in the brush as well. Unicorns, they realize they have not seen this bot lane for a while now. Ooh, Samux. Oh!
Gonna get knocked up, Reckless is on his way as well. Looking for that trample. Hylissang doesn't get caught out with the root, and Totoro doesn't get the engage. Fnatic get the advantage there. Remove the Feather Storm from Samux, and Reckless is still ahead in this lane, but Unicorns of Love have actually done a good job of securing vision control down towards this bottom side. You can see Cold there. Lots of wards in this red side jungle for the Unicorns.
And once again, he's around mid lane, constantly trying to make sure Exile can farm and push. This Corki in the late game, amazing scaling. We always talk about David going for a dive.
Shielded Duran comes out from camps. He's going to taunt up Cold and knockback as well with the Justice Punch. There is the stopwatch, and Cold is dead! Oh. Goodbye! Caps the Exile flashes in and gets the counter kill, but it was a 2v1 for Caps. And here comes Broxer looking for the electrocute damage. Exile trying to run his way away, but doesn't have the Valkyrie, and the Cataclysm will lock him in the pit. There's the Valkyrie away. Broxer with a Dragon Strike to the back.
So in the end, Fnatic get 2 kills. That was a dive set up by Cold, but he missed that ulti on the Sejuani, so Caps ended up staying alive a lot longer than expected. Another trade top.
Ignite on towards Hylissang. He's going to try and jump away. The Battle Dance back. And that should be okay for the Unicorns. Reckless has popped the ultimate here, but nothing more going on.
Thank you, Fnatic and Unicorns of Love, though, for showing us how you can play fast-paced League of Legends.
4 kills in 10 minutes!
Lane swaps, a lot of fights. Some ganks that also backfired a little bit, like the one we just saw in mid lane. Hylissang straight back towards the top side with the TP. The fact that the Caps got that kill, of course, used the stopwatch to buy more time, was very, very important. Let's see the tower dive once again. They've already poked Galio down around 50%. If Cold can land the ulti, they think they can burst Caps down, but it is important to know he was already charging the taunt instantly, and the stopwatch would be there if he just stayed alive during the initial stun. So even if that one hit from Cold, I'm not sure he would have stayed alive anyway. And this, of course, is Broxer coming in with their counter gank.
It's good stuff from Boxers to clean that up in the end. Caps showing us once again why he is seen as one of the stars of this Fnatic lineup. Even on Galio, he's still making these outplays.
Dude, you can carry hard on Galio now.
You can't.
AP ratio's better, you know, W dealing some damage as well when you actually connect it. We have seen AP Galios in the late game almost one-shot 80 carries.
That's true, that's true. And it kind of fell away for a little bit. We saw a burst of AP Galio and then no one played it.
We nerfed it a little bit, you know, the ratio went down. But then we gave the W some damage instead and kind of compensated pretty well. So it's not a, you know, hit Q and then passive and you one-shot someone. You gotta actually hit all the abilities, but then you can take a carry down. Back flash!
Nah! What up? Stun! White Knight!
That was sick. Source did not expect that one. Stopwatch was there, flash was there, but the instant ulti from White Knight, really well played. And this is what we want to see from him in Challenger. We saw some of those crazy 1v1s.
Yes, we did.
This is the first time we see it on the LCS stage.
Getting a bit more confident now that we are in week 4. Let's have another look at this.
Okay, so let's see. I actually said before that Gnar should not be able to kill the Vlad. It should just be a farm fest, but because he gets the Mega Knight and an instant ult flashes onto Soaz, Soaz is not ready to react with any defensive abilities, and then he gets stunned and dies. That was just really, really well played by White Knight.
Had Pool, he had Flash, he had ult, he had Hourglass or Stopwatch. Didn't use any of them. I want to come back just to the state of the game once again. We've had a lot of lane swaps. Let's have a look at how these AD carries are doing. There's a 20 lead or so for Reckless. There's about 10 CS in that top lane as well, but Exile is almost 15 CS ahead of Caps in this mid lane.
Yeah, because Cold, you know, 3 to 4 ganks around the mid lane early on. Some of them just pushing Caps back, allowing Exile to farm. Definitely paid off what happened last week, and they're doing the exact same thing this one, just protect Exile early on. Meanwhile, we do have to look at the package now. From the Corki, level 10. Is there any lanes he can easily go around? Source's Flash and Stopwatch is available bot side. Top lane is possible if you can get onto Reckless. Or you just make a play and Caps in the mid lane.
Because that's the thing, Caps can't hero's entrance into a lane if you're ganking his lane. He can't roam if you're trying to shut him down. And that's what Unicorns of Love have done well thus far in this game.
Let's see, they're sending 3 members around mid. I still feel like tower diving Caps with full HPs. That's too risky.
It didn't work out well last time.
It did not. It did not. But his stopwatch is gone, at least. That makes it a little bit easier. Exile with that package though might also just use it to play a bit more aggressive in the lane, and in case he gets ganked, he can use it defensively. You don't always have to go to a side lane with it and try and make a play.
This is a lot better from the Unicorns of Love, though. Equal gold at about the 14-minute mark. They're looking pretty well set for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think Fnatic's team fight with all the bruisers and the backline dive is going to be extremely scary to deal with for Unicorns of Love, unless on their side, their front line is so strong that can actually force Fnatic to not just run through them. Because their carries...
Oh, the Justice Punch dodged the Glacial Prism. Here comes the TP in from the behind, and Fnatic might try and start the fight. Hylissang there, Hero's entrance to knock them up. Totoro gets hit. He gets into the stopwatch though, and now Caps is the frontline target. White Knight can't quite connect with the Gnar, but one member goes down, and the Unicorns of Love win the fight.
We got another play around the mid lane. We had Cold on the Euphoria podcast, and he said, when you play against Fnatic, you just go mid all the time. You just attack Caps over and over, and it's happening. Second kill now for Unicorns of Love against the Galio. More more farm over to Exile. Level 11 on this Cork. He's doing very well in the early game.
Importantly as well, Exile and Samux positioned well in that fight. It was a miniature skirmish. It wasn't a big team fight.
That's fair.
But that's what we want to see from them later in the game.
All right, so package was just used, but once again, it's multiple Unix Love members around mid. The attack cap, there's no backup for him right now. He actually does dodge the ulti from Cold. I think Cold didn't expect the little charge or jump back from the charge on Caps' side, and then when he goes back in, because Source is not here, the rest of Fnatic can't really take the fight, and he ends up just dying. Good bait with the stopwatch though, from Totoro's side.
Importantly as well, White Knight didn't use his TP to get into that fight, so still has it available if he's in this 1v1 matchup against Soaz down towards the bottom side. We're 15 minutes in, gold entirely even in this game.
Another thing to note here on 8.2, because Frost Queen's claim is gone, you know, you can no longer get the ghosties and that little mini Storm Raiders when you procced it, when it was fully upgraded. Vladimir's first item is changed. He used to rush that one. It would give him a lot of extra mobility in a fight because a little speed up, the 50% speed up he would get. Now it is back to Proto Belt, so it's less about pure mobility, movement speed from Source, and more just having a dash in and most likely a flash, and in the late game, a ghost. He can swap the spell book to ghost and go ghost, flash plus Proto Belt, and then that should still be enough to reach the carries of Unicorns a lot.
So let's have a look at the rest of the first items here. It's Black Cleaver and White Knight, as you'd expect. There was actually a Hex Drinker before the Trinity Force completion here for Exile, so he's only sitting on a Sheen and Hex Drinker. Rod of Ages for Caps, as Unicorns of Love try and push in to steal away this blue buff. They've got good vision control in the river, and they'll get the blue basically for free.
One thing I like is, on the side where they have Samux, they're very confident they can invade and play around, because Sivir, early laning phase, push, push, push all the time. Mid game, she's not that strong, because now she's in that in the situation where she's missing proper crit items, so she needs to complete both seal items before she really becomes a carry threat once again. So you're not too scared of Reckless, and that means Unicorns can play around topside as we're seeing at the moment. Let's see what happens here. There might be a fight again.
Totoro does just have the ground entrance to get off towards the top side. He'll be fine for the time being. We did see Exile there, 26 CS up at the 15-minute mark, his best this year. Seems to be improving week on week, which is what we wanted to see.
And just the game plan of Unicorns alone changing in his favor, of course. Fnatic is still staying around mid, but it does require Unicorns to actually push forward if they want to catch them. Otherwise, Reckless can go back, catch the top wave. Not a lot of vision in the river itself, but Unicorns have vision behind it. They have in the enemy jungle, they have it near the Rift Herald itself, so they kind of know what's happening.
We haven't really seen this Fnatic combo really come online yet, Fisher. There's been a couple of skirmishes.
Give them time.
Am I being over-eager?
They need team fights. That's what they're looking for right now. You don't pick the Sivir to stomp the laning phase. You don't pick the Vladimir to destroy the Gnar either. It's all about scaling. But again, on the side of Unicorns of Love, because of a strong front line of Gnar and Sejuani, and then two, especially the Corki as a late game carry, Unicorns of Love are also fine scaling-wise. They're not just automatically losing late game. It just gets harder and harder for them to play team fights.
It looks like has to burn the ultimate and the flash to get out there. But if Unicorns of Love are able to keep relatively even or even step ahead here, the team fights become easier for them, and Totoro just doing to Hillasang what Hillasang did to Samux earlier on.
I'm definitely looking at the mid game. When Exile gets his Trinity Force fully completed, when the Sivir is yet not that strong because she's lacking these Zeal items we mentioned. Same for Vladimir in terms of his scaling. He's not hit level 16 yet. Unicorns of Love can definitely force around Rift Herald, around Dragon, and use that to get the first turret as well. And then start snowballing a bit of a lead and look to play around Baron shortly after, because the engage on their side with Sejuani and Rakan is very, very strong. So if you are ahead and you have a power spike, the enemy team does not, you can force teamfight with this draft from Unicorns of Love, and they need to use that.
And double AD carry is so good for that as well. Like, you can take objective after objective after objective. You just continue to push forward. We did see the Rift Herald going across towards the Unicorns of Love. So as trading into White Knight. That's more of what we expect of this matchup, really. Don't expect to see White Knight soloing the Soaz anytime soon.
That was just great outplay. Again, I love the old flash from him. Soaz could not react in time. Another package for Exile back towards the mid lane. Last one was not used aggressively. Just kept it, pushed forward in lane, and then ended up using it in the river.
Did clear out vision though, which I know is something we all like to see.
Of course, Caps looking for a little trade, and the package used defensively from Exile's side.
He is 40 CS or so up now though.
So again, it's farming. Good power spike with the Trinity Force. No turrets down yet. almost 20 minutes into the game. It's been a lot of fighting around mid lane, but no objectives killed just yet, other than the Rift Herald that Unicorns of Love just secured. The Drake is still alive. Fnatic are looking towards it now. They can place Rift Herald on top side though if you're Fnatic. If they realize that Fnatic, if Unicorns realize Fnatic are making a bot lane play, they can put Rift Herald top.
Trying to get on towards White Knight, but once again the EQ combo does not connect. Smite was used there as well, I believe. Mid
lane is also an option for Colder, which is the one they're aiming for now, just to secure that objective. I like that as well. Just gotta use it either mid or top when you see 2 members from Fnatic bot lane.
As we come to the 20-minute mark, the first tower of the game. He was watching too much of the Super Bowl, but look at this. This split, Fnatic have not been able to get the early game leads they used to be known for. Only a third of their games have they been ahead at 20 minutes. And even then, it's only about a 400 gold lead.
And that's despite bot lane often winning in the laning phase. But then top lane, they've fallen behind quite a bit with Soaz, and Brox has not had the same early game impact we saw before. We might get a fight, Medic!
Totoro is going to engage. There's the Featherstorm as well. Hylissang trying to get on towards this backline. Caps is there. Samux and Totoro just backing away. White Knight with a double 9 to the wall. Fnatic now on the back foot because here comes Exile as well, and double Unicorns will be trying to push in towards Hylissang here. Soaz trying to retreat back, but it's a choke point. Maybe Soaz can jump in with the Hemo Plague. He gets a lot of damage down, and here's the Hero's entrance as well. Fnatic trying to turn it around. Hemo Plague up towards the top side. Can't quite kill Cold or Exile, and somehow no one has died.
We're still early in the game, but we just got to see what Fnatic comp can do to the backline of Unicorns of Love. Flash in from Soaz, re-engage from Hylissang, and they reach at least 180 carry every single time. And this was still at a moment where Unicorns of Love were fine taking a team fight. They had the 24s on Exile's side. They will get a bit of farm in mid, but they lost the top lane. No kills, but a turret down.
Compare summoners though. Unicorns of Love only have 1 flash remaining. Fnatic have so many left.
Doesn't matter right now because Unicorns of Love used the TP from Exile bot lane to grab a turret like that play. Let's see it again. Unicorns of Love realized at first they're a bit out of position. Samux needs to use very early ulti. Totoro got to use his ulti defensively as well. So it is a rough fight for them to take. Even White Knight is not really committed because Exile is not here yet. He joins the fight now. Fnatic calling the same thing, saying we need to re-engage. And Hylissang, beautiful combo into flash from Soaz. And suddenly we get to see how much they can do. You highlight the flashes being gone. Well, we have another fight now with no flashes.
Exile's dead because of it. Fnatic going to try and push in for this mid lane tower.
So we're basically seeing another fight.
Oh, double jump. Here comes Gold as well with the Glacial Prism. White Knight trying to build up that rage bar. Hylissang's already dead. And Samux is going to open up as well. Reckless on the back line. White Knight jumps in. Reckless is down. Caps is down. Fnatic are falling apart.
Let's see right here. Unicorns of Love killed 3 members. Are they already looking towards an early Baron? Exile is dead though. That's a lot of damage missing.
Samux going to try and chase out Boxer here. The blast gun will take them both across. Totoro there as well. The smite from Boxer isn't going to be enough. And now it has to be Baron for Unicorn.
At the moment they kill the jungler, they go straight towards Baron. Soaz is here, almost full HP. Ulti is ready, but no flash. Can he do anything at all? White Knight is zoning him away.
But look at how low Cold and Totoro are. White Knight going to push in. Are they just going to have to back away from this one? Soaz is gone. This should be the Baron taken by the Unicorns. 23 minutes in, they secure it.
That was close for Cold.
And with it, a 4,000 gold lead. You can see Sheepy is like, whoa, that was close.
Right there, he's part of the replay as well. Who's Sheepy fighting? No one. He's gone. That's a kill in mid lane. They commit 4 members onto Exile. Meanwhile, look at the minimap. All of the remaining Unicorns members collapsing around mid. Soaz is still bot lane, so it's a 4v4. And Fnatic are tanking the turret. They've also used a lot of the cooldowns already. They instantly just drop down. Unicorns Love win the fight. That's Baron as well. This game, oh man, punches left and right.
But the Unicorns seem to be coming out on top. They have double AD carry. They've got the ability to pressure towers now with the Baron. Fnatic haven't really come online with this teamfight composition.
Exactly, and again, this is what we talk about, how we want Unicorns of Love in this mid-game to just have these fights. The Zyra Khan combo is really good, the Corki is extremely strong, and the Gnar with his damage against the backline. This is the kind of fight Unicorns were looking for to get further ahead in the game. We even got the early Baron.
Cataclysm in, Cold and Samux there. Here comes the Hero's entrance, but Samux dodges it with the pedestal, with the re-engage from Hylissang from the side. Now Fnatic are turning tables on the Unicorns of Love. Exile's going to fall as well. 4 down for the Unicorns. And Fnatic are going to try and chase White Knight out here as well, but he should be able to escape. They hold on to their inhibitor, and only 1 Baron buff remains.
Kind of classic for this game that, oh, Unicorns, Baron, get the Inhib turret.
15 kills at 25 minutes, though. I'm a happy camper.
I love it. Thank you very much, Fnatic and Unicorns for Love. This game is so fun to watch. Turnaround once again. Fnatic's comp, as we keep saying, can't get to the back line. Samox cannot get out of the Jarvan ulti. He can only avoid some of the damage, and then he will land where he started. And suddenly, there is follow-up from 2 to 3 other champions. Hylissang with another great Alistar combo.
He's reading his former teammates like a book. A couple of turrets go down. Let's have another look at this engage from Fnatic.
All right, so Fnatic are calling. Let's go for it. Source is on the way. Samox, no flash. He can't get out. Uses the ult to dodge damage, and then the combo coming in from Hylissang right after. He was just waiting with the cooldowns, knowing exactly when to go in and win the fight. And we're going to get these back and forths over and over. Whenever Unicorns Love have flashes ready, they can try and flash away from the initial engage and then deal a lot of damage with the AD carries. But when the flashes are gone, Fnatic can do what we just saw here. Spellbook on the Alistar is also going to be huge. Ghost is going to be valuable. Reduced cooldown on the flash is going to be so valuable for Hylissang as well. I think he can be the MVP of this game if he lands more combos like this.
Unicorns are going to try and stop him from doing it, though. They do secure the Ocean Dragon. And to add a bit of levity into the intensity that this game has had, that is the first Ocean Dragon that the Unicorns of Love have secured this split.
Also,
quick stats!
You're not quick shot, though.
Yeah, but I'm like a mini
Unless you got
quick
a
shot.
lot bigger and buffer and handsomer.
Yeah, that's true. He's just too big, buff, and handsome for me.
It's true.
I need to think about that for a couple of minutes. So if
He
you want to
is-
just
he is
solo
my
cast
prince.
for a bit.
Even though he left me behind when he went on holiday, he forgot to invite me. I'm definitely not sad about that at all, or anything.
I'm sorry, Fisher.
It's fine. I also prefer the cast instead of being on holiday.
League of Legends is our holiday. Fnatic and Unicorns
This
of Love
game
are
is
giving us a trip.
I got one clap,
Yeah.
almost crying. Thank you. I actually tried to fake cry there. I'm not an actor, though, sadly.
Yeah, we can tell.
Thank you, mate.
Exile's going up towards the top side to look for this tower as well, and now it becomes a game of the carries. You've got Caps and Reckless, who is now 5-1 on the Sivir. 3 items completed against Exile and Samox, who is on his way to that 3rd item as well. Hasn't quite finished the Infinity Edge yet, though.
It's a big one, though, for Reckless. Full 3 items. Give him a bit more attack speed. Oh, that's me hitting puberty right there. Voice will change slowly.
Had to happen one day.
Stay with me, guys. It's rough here during the winter time when you are a caster and you gotta use your voice and it's very cold outside.
Is your chin going to become more chiseled?
Maybe one day I can get a real beard. I'm hoping now that I hit puberty I can soon.
I can't grow a beard either, so we're in the same club there. But let's come back to the action.
Feels
Fnatic
fair.
versus the Unicorns of Love. 2,000 gold lead for the Unicorns. Their Baron power play, though, was negative 1,800 gold. So they've lost some of their advantage.
And as the caller caster, I need to break down these kind of things so I can tell you, viewers at home, that's not good. It's not a good thing to have a negative Baron power play. You want to normally get more gold than you give to the other team when you get the Baron.
That was insightful. Samox going to get Hemo Plagued on here, has to jump away, but the flash from Broxer gets onto him, and Reckless is on a rampage, and they're looking for Cold to Toe and Exile as well.
I feel so bad for Samox in this game because there's so little he can do against the movement speed and the amount of gap closes on Fnatic's side. Top lane tower is open at the moment. White Knight is trying to do something bot lane, but he needs to hurry up if he's going to do anything because Fnatic, they're pushing for an inhib.
Yeah. Soaz is back there as well, so he should be able to defend. Fnatic will get the first tower and push in this next wave as well, but I don't actually think they're going to get the inhibitor turret quite yet. A minute 40 seconds on the Baron means that they can look towards that as their next objective, and it feels very much like this teamfight composition that Fnatic have mustered for themselves is truly online.
And not only did they get the kill, they also got both summoners from Samox's side. We talked about this 3-4 times already. Without the flash, the Xayah should not be able to stay alive in the fight because it's very hard for a Rakan to peel properly. He can knock up maybe one guy if he's lucky, and that's it. He doesn't otherwise stop the engage from happening. Same thing really with the Gnar and the Sejuani, unless they time their CC perfectly, as we just get to rewatch Fnatic secure that kill. Exile's flash though is available, so he can try and see if he can stay alive in the upcoming fight, but he snuck his way bot lane. And while he had a good start to the game and rushed towards the Trinity Force, definitely has slowed down for him after this. He's actually not that far ahead.
Unicorns in general aren't that far ahead anymore. Only 1,000 gold between the two teams, and the later we get, the less it
look
matters.
at the Sivir, man. It's dirty. 4 items at 29 minutes. This is normally a late game win condition, but now it's already here for Fnatic.
He's already 50 CS over Samus as well. This reckless laning phase is truly translated into a strong mid-game spike. And you have to feel that we wanted the Unicorns to play around the mid-game. We wanted them to play around these power spikes. They did, but one mistake around that inhibitor may have delayed this game long enough for Fnatic to come out on top.
Let's see if Fnatic can find another fight, or if the Unicorns of Love can survive the initial all-in and then use a double AD carry to just apply so much consistent DPS after. Soaz, if he's not sitting in his pool, can die very quickly. There's no hourglass on his side. If they can get Hylissang's ulti off cooldown, suddenly they can kill him when the ulti runs out. There are definitely members you can take down. The full AP Galio, same deal. The problem is, you need to survive the all-in when the fight starts.
Caps jumps forward, there's the flash. Winds of War is going to do a lot of damage to Exile, but to Toe, it's going to distract them for the time being. Onto Broxah. The Unicorns of Love will retreat as so as TP is in. Hylissang has the flank, he's popping the Ghost. White Knight's going to try and jump away, but he's caught up with the headbutt pulverize, and he's caught in the midst of Fnatic. A shutdown for Reckless.
Once again, the Unicorns of Love cannot deal any damage back to Fnatic when the fight starts. They're all forced to flash and jump away. The moment someone from Fnatic engages, this inhib turret will go down, the mid inhib will go down right after. Exile is there with the package, but jumping in here would be crazy.
No flash on Caps, of course, but the inhibitor is going to get taken out by Fnatic. Maybe Toto is going to try and look for an engage from the side. Doesn't have the quickness now, so can't charm up any members of Fnatic, and Fnatic are now in a gold lead as well. Starting to swing, well, completing the swing in their favor. With Baron up, they're trying to get vision control across this red side jungle. And you have to feel it's only a matter of time before Fnatic start up that Baron.
And when they start the Baron, they turn for fight. And then that's perfect. So, Caps. Flash in already. Initial DPS is enough to force Exile away. Now Exile can't really deal any damage in return because he had to flash out and he's low. We talked about this in the Champ Select, and I hate to repeat it, but the Fnatic comp is designed to deal with a double AD carry composition that is lacking peel. There's no Tam Kinch, there's no Braum ulti. The disengage is not there for Unicorn's side against the amount of mobility in Fnatic's side, and we get to see it every single team fight.
No QSSs either on Samus or Exile. Only really helpful against the shield of Duran. Soaz turns with a Hemo Plague here onto Exile. Protobelt as well, not quite going to find that final connection, but here comes Hylissang. He knows that Exile likes to push forward. He knows that Exile is out of position, and he knows that he wants to help Soaz secure the kill. Hylissang takes it for himself. Unicorns are going to look for the Baron, though. They'll start this one up very quickly.
But this is 4v5. Let's see. No TPs on the two members in the bottom lane from Fnatic. So they're running down. Broxah behind the Baron. Caps on the other side here, but Unicorns of Love, they realize the Baron is going down too slow without Exile. And that means Fnatic can now go for the Baron if they want to.
Cold could look for the steal, though. We've seen Sejuani's do it already today. 2 more control wards in those inventories as well, so they can just pop them across the wall. 5,000 on the Baron. Hylissang here, the flash, the taunt on towards Samus, and he's just dead. The Baron's still going low, but the Unicorns might just be looking for a steal here. They need to get out. Cold up towards the side of the top, though. Caps with the shield of Duran can't quite connect. Cold jumps in, doesn't steal it. Broxah secures it, and now the Unicorns need to get the hell out of there because Cold is dead and Reckless is dominating.
We got some super minutes in the mid lane already. Baron buff on Fnatic. Let's see what they want to do.
Hylissang, he's just delaying their backs. This is so good from Hylissang. He has been a standout performer this game.
Oh, he wants some more. Reckless is here.
On the hunt, flash, boomerang, one more auto. Reckless is godlike.
9 kills on this Sivir here. All of Fnatic coming straight for the base. Exile and White Knight, only members alive to try and defend.
Fnatic just did not give up their shot in this game. They saw the moment, they took it, and they have been scrappy throughout the entirety of it. They're trying to close it out. The Nexus Tower's low. White Knight there as well. The Cataclysm Exile won't survive the Hemo Plague, and Unicorns of Love won't survive the day. Fnatic gonna get the second Nexus tower down. They're cleaning up the kills in the back as well. Hylissang will fall. A sacrifice for the team. Fnatic can't quite get it though because Cold and Samux on a triple, tearing through Fnatic. Unicorns of Love have turned this one right back around, and now Reckless is a sole man standing. It's his 10th kill, the most kills. Can he make it 13? He needs Cold, he needs Samux, he needs to hit the Nexus, and Reckless with the solo carry wins the game.
I love that Reckless was like, no, I will leave my jungler to die. I don't want any help when I'm gonna finish this game. 1v3 with some super minions next to him. He steps forward, kills the Nexus, and what a performance from Fnatic in these fights, especially the Sivir, of course, 10-1, but I gotta highlight Hylissang.
What a play.
So many great combos, patience in team fights, saying, I know the initial engage will force the defensive abilities, then the Alistar can follow up hitting 2 to 3 members so many times. The Fnatic draft made perfect sense against the composition from the Unicorns of Love. They wanted to play with 2 AD carries, they wanted to try and protect 2 AD carries, but it lacked very hardcore, like, disengage tools against way too much engage and mobility on Fnatic's side.
Great performance all round from Fnatic, because at times, especially in that mid game, it looked a little dicey for them. It looked like they could have lost it quite easily.
Right, that was kind of the moment for Unicorns of Love where we were like, okay, Fnatic's comp might not be 100% online yet. You don't always have to fully fear Vladimir before we get towards the late game. Sivir as well, we're only sitting on 2 items. And after they got the early Baron from Unicorn side, it felt like, wow, now they're taking over. And then we get a big team fight at that inhib. The team that we were kind of waiting for Fnatic here. So I actually really like the idea behind the Fnatic draft. And I think in-game, in the last few team fights, we got to see exactly why it made so much sense.
Definitely did. Looking at the other side, though, the Unicorns of Love shouldn't be too dissatisfied with this game, because you can trace a lot of it back down to that one mistake around the inhibitor. The rest of the game, pretty even with Fnatic early on, took a good advantage in a couple of team fights, and then were able to almost win the game.
And it was fast-paced, early ganks, early lane swaps, a lot of fights that could have swung it in favor of the Unicorns of Love.
Is that what you like to see, Deficio?
It is.
Just like the early action?
I also like to see a Sivir with almost full items of like 34 minutes in the game, having 10 kills. You know, Reckless is one of these guys where no matter how he performs at a certain point in the split, you just know he will get back to the peak. Yeah. And he will once again challenge for the number 180 carry spot. It's still him versus Hansama, and Kobe is also up there. You know, there's some of these big names fighting.
That he is. We're going to actually have a look at Reckless in action, because we've got the final play of the game once again, just to revisit exactly what happened at the end here.
So this is the Baron from before here, after Unicorns had already lost Exile down the bot lane. So Fnatic, they know, okay, they can either turn and take the fight, or they can just try and knock Cold away and then secure the Baron. It does actually in the end. It's fairly close with Cold and him trying to dive in and get the smite steal off, but he is, of course, smacked right into the wall. And the moment he dies, they see the super minion wave in mid. Hylissang is calling, I can stop recalls. He does it successfully. 2 of them interrupted. We get the kill for Reckless. Now I like this moment here, because you can see in Reckless he wants to be the MVP. He wants to be the guy who's solo killing the Nexus. So he's calling for his team to sacrifice themselves for him.
Yeah.
He's screaming, go, go, go. And when they dive in, Rex is like, yeah, I'll just take care of this turret. Maybe smack 1 hit on an R, but then go back to the turret once again and let everyone else do all the dirty work. Wait for it. Steps away. Technically here could have maybe tried to stay on it, but he has to respect Samux, so that's fine. Let's Broxa die.
That's the important bit.
That's my favorite part of it. Let him die, get another wave of minions in, starts destroying everyone in a 1v3. Oh, step out there as well, take down the enemy support, and then he steps forward and he kills the Nexus. Who needs a team?
Definitely not Reckless at the moment. Stood right in their faces and took down the game. You can see what it means to him as well. Great stuff from the Fnatic AD carry. To hear more about Fnatic's win, let's head over to Law, who's ready with their AD carry.
Thank you very much, Medic. I'm standing here with Reckless after their amazing win against Unicorns of Love. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you feeling about this win?
I think this win was actually very needed for us, because we've been struggling in the first 3 weeks. I think the week 1 was probably the worst one, but even in week 2 and week 3, we weren't doing too well. I think a lot of people expect more from us, and we do as well. So starting this week with a win is very helpful, because then also if we get a win tomorrow, things are going to look very different. Like we're going to climb the standings and get more confidence going, and then maybe for playoffs we'll be much more ready than we've looked so far. So I think it was actually very important for us.
Well, since you mentioned it, people have a lot of expectations towards Fnatic and towards you, especially. A lot of people mentioned that you were struggling. Can you talk me through it as a player? What was going in your head at these moments?
For this year?
For the previous weeks.
Oh, for the previous.
Yeah.
Okay. So in week 1, I think everyone was just trying to figure out how we were supposed to play with each other. Like, especially me, I felt like I was very uncomfortable when we were playing, and I didn't really know what to do exactly in the game. I felt like I needed much more time than I was given to figure out how I was supposed to play with Hylissang and like our different way of playing the game now that we have Youngbuck on board. But for week 2 and week 3, it's been better. I think we've slowly like figured out what we need to do, and then even though this game wasn't too good in the beginning, I think we picked it up at the end and we played pretty clean. Yeah, we did most of the stuff that we've trained.
You did. And this last action was pretty intense. Can you talk me through the last action that actually made you win the game?
So when we got Nash and we got a couple of kills, we already called to end the game, but then we had some people running on the top side as well, so it became a bit messy, and then I think we failed the dive a little bit as well at the Nexus Tower, so it became much more close than it should have been. But the call was correct. I think we should have ended the game there. We just maybe should have focused the towers instead of killing people and then not let me be on my own, but it worked out in the end anyway, so it was good.
It did, and congratulations again for today.
Thank you so much.
That's all for us on this side of the stage, but don't go anywhere, because after the break it will be, G2 versus Schalke 04. Don't go anywhere.
Comes out from Caps, he's going to taunt up Cold and knockback as well with the Justice Punch. There is the stopwatch, and Cold is dead!
Q and then passive, and you one-shot someone, you gotta actually hit all the abilities.